Okay, welcome to the CSSM Certification Next Steps for Surgical Services Manager webinar. I'm Dawn Whiteside. I'm the Director of Education at CCI. The objectives, what we're going to talk about tonight, an overview of what the CSSM certification program is, what is the application process, and then we also need to discuss the recertification requirements because you need to know that going in, and then how professional points are used for your recertification. This is a disclaimer we have to use whenever we do a presentation, just stating that you don't have to purchase anything from CCI, prep products, review products, anything like that to take the exam. And if you do, it does not infer success on taking the exam. So question, who in the audience has their CNOR? You don't have to, I'm just asking. It's a different eligibility. Okay. So there, like I said, there is a different eligibility, and we'll go over that as we go through the eligibility and hypothetical situations as we go through. This CSSM, this is very different than the CNOR. It was made that way purposely. It's more based on professional development and lifelong learning. CNOR is moving to this process, but it's going to be a slower progression. CSSM started this way, and it will keep this way. Our other new credential, CNA and B for ambulatory nurses, is also going to have the same process. So it's very focused on what you do every day, your activities that you do, and how that reflects in your competency. So you have to have a professional development plan. Once you take the exam and you're successful, you get a score report, and that's going to tell you what you need to do for your recertification. So your initial certification will really determine your professional development plan moving forward. And the reason CCI moved this way, and we are moving forward with our other credentials, is because our accreditation providers, like you have Joint Commission, DMV, or whoever accredits your facility, our credentials are accredited. So we have an accreditation, NCCA, ABSNC for our credentials, and they are requiring us to go back and look at how we assess competency. And that is why we are moving to a points method that I'll go into more detail as we go along here. So eligibility, you have to hold obviously a current unrestricted RN license in a management role in surgical services. If you don't have an RN, you cannot apply for this. We've had managers of other departments ask if they could use this certification, and they cannot at this time. We would like to move that way, but that's a ways off. So you must have an unrestricted RN license, a bachelor's degree. It can be either in arts or science. It doesn't have to be in science of nursing. Randomly, applications are audited. If you were audited, you would have to provide a transcript. Currently employed full or part-time, and have a minimum of 2 or 4 years, that depends on your CNOR, experience in the management role. It doesn't have to say supervisor, director, anything like that. As long as you oversee a budget for a group of people, that does qualify. So you can be educator, charge nurse, team leader, all of those job descriptions, all of those positions would qualify. Perioperative management coursework. So before you are eligible to apply for the exam, you have to have had either 30 or 50 continuing education contact hours in the 7 topic areas. So these are the 7 topic areas that are on the exam: strategic, operational, finance, leadership, professionalism, communication and relationship, and then HR. Those are the 7 topics. So if you are CNOR certified, you would need 30 CE in those topics. Not all of them, one of them, multiple, but the content has to be within this group of 7. If you do not have your CNOR, then the eligibility requirement is 50 continuing education. So here is an example of what that looks like, and this is in the CSSM candidate handbook, which I recommend downloading if you want. CNOR certified, again, the bachelor's minimum of 2 years and 2,400 hours of experience in the surgical services management role and 30 contact hours. Without the CNOR, that employment requirement doubles, 4 years and 4,800 hours, and then you need 50 contact hours. So keep in mind that the CE has to be completed in the 2 years prior to application. So if you are in a course right now and you're getting ready to finish it, don't apply because you're not eligible. Those hours have to have been completed before you actually apply. You can also use college credit. So if you're in school, that will work as well instead of the CE component. So same things in those 7 topic areas, but 6 hours of domain specific content or 12 if you do not have your CNOR. Registration. Information you need to complete that application, your nursing license number, your CE or your coursework, work experience, include the name of your supervisor and contact information. The application is completed online, so you have to have your CCI profile. So you would log in. If you don't have one, you can create an account and then look for CSSM. And then click on apply for certification, and then it will have you fill in your information. Again, a percentage of applications are audited. If you were audited, you would have to provide paper documentation of the information on your application. Once the application has been approved, you will receive an authorization to test email, and save this, print it off, take it to your testing center. You may or may not need it, but it's a good idea to have it. Also make sure that your name is on the authorization to test is the same that's on your driver's license, because they will compare those and make sure that your registration, your ATT letter, and your driver's license all match. You have a 90-day testing window that begins the month after your application has been accepted. So if you apply in April and you're accepted in April, then you would have May, June, and July to take your exam. Even if you apply and you're accepted on April 30th, your window would still be May, June, or July. You pick your own testing date. Right now, our testing partner is Prometric. So you would go to their website, prometric.com, search for the CSSM exam. It will come up with different testing centers in your area. It will have you put your zip code in, and then you select the time. You will need that ATT letter because there's an authorization code on there to enter into the Prometric website. Currently, if you're CNOR certified, the exam fee is $275. If you're not, it's $350. But please always check our website for the most current pricing. The exam itself has 180 questions. 150 of those are scored. There are 30 questions. We call them pre-test items, and depending on how they score, if everybody's getting it right, it's not going to be on an exam that it won't count on a future exam. It will be tossed out. So those 30, you won't know the difference whether you're answering a scored or unscored item. So always make sure you answer all of them. Here are those 7 subject areas again, and then in the center here, this tells you the percentage weight. So through the job analysis, people who are in the role currently, they all get together and we meet with them, and they tell us how much time they spend in their day with strategic management, and they say 14%. So dividing all those questions, there would be 21 questions on communication, 25 on strategic, and so on. Again, this table is in the CSSM candidate handbook. Types of questions. We only have one type of question on all of our exams. They are multiple choice with only one correct answer. We don't do multiple where it's all of the above, none of the above, A, B, C, but not D. We don't do that. One question, one correct answer, no true, false, no essay questions. There's no questions with pictures that you have to identify anything. So this is an example. I live in Michigan. I work remote from Michigan, even though our office is in Denver. So the capital of Michigan is. So all the answers are plausible because those are all cities in Michigan, but only one answer is correct, which is Lansing. Lansing is the capital. And of course, this will not appear on the exam. Taking the exam, if you haven't done this in a while, or if you haven't done it at all, it's very, very secure. They will use the wand like they do at, going to a concert or airport security. They will do that. You're very limited on what you can take. You have a tiny little locker, probably smaller than you had when you were in kindergarten. And it doesn't fit much. It doesn't fit a computer. It barely fits your purse. So make sure you're just bringing limited things with you. Your driver's license, your wallet, something like that. There are other people taking exams at the same time, and it's not all nursing. There could be plumbers, electricians, surge techs. It is a testing center for all different professions. I'm looking at a question that just popped up. I'm a manager in an ambulatory center. I have my CNOR. Would you recommend CSSM or the CNAMB? The manager certificate, CSSM, is for managers. The CNAMB would be more similar to the CNOR, but it is focused on ambulatory surgery. So I'm not sure which one you would rather have. CSSM is much more directed at management. So I would do that one, certainly if you're looking to move up, your role or anything like that. There's other people taking the exam. Nobody's talking, but you can hear them clicking, their mouse or whatever. So if noises like that distract you, you can ask for earplugs. You cannot bring earplugs. They have headsets you can put on that drown out outside noise. If you want scratch paper for some reason, you can ask for it and they will count it out. Here's 4 pieces of paper and a pencil. And when you leave, they're going to take 4 pieces of paper and a pencil. I went 2 years ago to take my educator certification, and it was all new to me because, of course, I did it when it was, on paper. And they had people pulling their pockets inside out. If you have cuffs, they're going to unroll your cuffs. So make sure you're ready for all the different security measures that could occur. It is possible to mark items. Like I said, I took one 2 years ago, and there's a tutorial at the beginning. It does not count against your 3 hours and 45 minutes to take the exam. I found it very helpful. I tend to skim over the question and read it really fast. So they'll show you there that you can actually highlight things, mark them to come back. For me, it was helpful to highlight things. I read the question, looked at the answers, read the question again, highlighted key parts, read the options again. So it really made me slow down to take them. Just a testing strategy if you happen to go too fast, or, oh, I didn't read the question completely. But you can do that tutorial. It doesn't count against you. At the end, you can review, and it'll say review all, review the ones I marked. But always make sure you answer the question. You can mark it to come back if you run out of time. If you left it blank, it's going to be counted wrong. It's not a variable exam like NCLEX. It's not going to shut off when you get the right amount. It will, you have to answer all the questions, 3 hours, 45 minutes. Passing score is 620 out of 800. That is a scaled score, and a mathematician way smarter than me figures all this out. Prometric works with them. So it's a scaled score. It's not if you get, 100 answers correct, you'll pass, or, 75% you'll pass. It's 620 out of 800. You will know before you leave if you pass or not. And after you do pass, you will get that score report. It will be posted in your CCI account, which you can always go back in and look at. But this will tell you how many points you need for recertification. Resources for the exam. AORN guidelines, the most current edition. Jane Rothrock, Alexander's Care of the Patient in Surgery. I need to update because that's not the most recent edition. It's 2019 16th edition, and this is 2017 13th edition. Sorry about that. So these resources are listed in the handbook as well. There are other books. People say, if I have to buy a book, which one would you recommend? We like K. Fox and Ehrman, and this is the brand new one that just came out last November, I believe. Even though it says operational management, it has finance, it has other things in there. If you want a finance specific book, Penner. All of these resource books that we have here, they're listed in the handbook. That's where all the questions come from. Those are the resources. So we're not going to find some obscure thing you've never heard of. We're giving you the list of references that our test development committee uses those books to create the questions on the exam. I'm on the education side, so I never see the exam. So I never know what any of the questions are. But if you're looking at our handbook, it will give you the list of books where all of those questions come from. CCI does offer an on-demand prep course for CSSM. It gives you 6-month access, and it is pre-recorded sessions on the 7 topic areas. It also gives you 6-month e-access to the CSSM exam prep book. There's practice questions throughout. If you have questions, you can always send an email, and it is worth 12 CE. Those CE would count towards your eligibility as well. Again, make sure that you do that before you apply, though, that you have all of your CE earned. And again, this is not required to take the exam, and it's not an indicator of how you would score. It's just an option for you. Recertification. There's only 2 choices. Take the exam again, which is not usually the top choice, or professional development points activities. This is the direction we're heading with all of our credentials. CNOR is rolling into it now. CNA and B will be like this from the very beginning. So you have to earn a certain number of points, and we'll go through an example of a person. So you have to plan ahead. That score report you're going to get after you pass will tell you how many points you need in each category. So it's going to tell you how you scored in each of those 7 categories. It'll be at, above, or below competency. So here's an example. Here's the 7 categories on the right. Above competency, above, above, below, at, above, above. Okay. So this would be an example of a score report, and this is how this person scored. So they scored at or above competency in 6 of the 7 categories. The only category they scored below competency was HR. So HR will be the category that they will be required to get 125 points in. They'll need 250 total, but since they scored below competency in HR, half of those will have to go to HR for your recertification. If it was HR and professionalism, this 125 would be split between HR and professionalism. And all of this would be spelled out in your profile on the CCI website. It will say, it'll have all 7 categories, and it'll say required and achieved as far as points. Required will be 0 in the categories that you scored at or above. And it would say HR 125 points are required. So what do you do to get points? A lot of it is related to things that you do every day in your practice, certainly as a manager. Other ones are things that we offer free on our website that you can take, classes, those kind of things. The only one that does not have a maximum is academic credit. So if you're going back to school, you're probably going to have enough points. CE, we'll still take CE, but only up to 50 or 25 is 50 points. So only up to that, that's our limit. If you're teaching a perioperative related course for college credit, that gives you points. So each class taught is 30 and the max is 150. So each category has a different max. Publishing, if you do any authoring, peer reviewing, all of that's worth points, and you can see those are pretty high points. Professional presentations, that's going to differ whether it offers contact hours or it does not offer contact hours. Service on a board or committee, that can be at your facility, in your membership, state board, and then also CCI. If you volunteer at CCI on our board of directors or our certification council, you get points for that. Precepting and mentoring. If you are precepting or mentoring someone, 25 points for each person, and you can do up to 4, so that would be 100 points. Volunteer committees at CCI. We have a recertification committee at CCI that I'm the head of, and that is filled with volunteers who come up with activities that we post for certificates to take and earn points. Education product volunteer, the questions that are in our prep books are flashcards. Those questions are written by volunteers that we proof and go through. Other perioperative related certification, if you have CPAN, if you have your CNOR, those other types of certifications, those are worth points as well. So initial, and then if you do recertification, that would be worth points also. Clinical inquiry, volunteer service. These are ones that are on our website, professional organization activities. They are in our bookstore because that's how I have to link them to your classroom, but they are free. So we have a 10-question activity, 20, and worth the different points here. This is new. We've added training certificates. So BLS, ACLS, PALS, NRP, that's the military version. Those are all worth points. We have reflections. There's 2 in the bookstore. They're 25 points a piece, and you'd have 50 points. Games, we have crossword puzzles, case studies, and additional points activities. So recertification requirements currently, once you're certified, it's good for the 3 years. You have to submit your application and a log of all your points. Your points will have to be entered into your CCI profile. When you enter your points, you have to select which category they apply to. So if you're adding CE for a leadership class you took at a conference, you're going to select which of those 7 categories that fits into. And if you have questions, you can always call us. If you do any of the free classes on the CCI classroom, those will automatically go into your profile. You just have to select which category they fit into, and those are assigned on each of those activities. Once your application is reviewed and accepted, again, you could be audited for recertification. Then there is an assessment that has to be completed at a Prometric testing center. The assessment is not pass or fail. This is going to determine which categories you need to get your points in for the next cycle. So remember, the first one is based on your initial certification. Then it will be based on how you do on an assessment. There's 50 questions, and determining how you answer on those, again, not pass or fail, it will give you the categories for your professional points for the next certification cycle. 2019 test takers. So if someone took the exam in 2019, their accrual period when they could start earning points would begin January 1st, 2019. So for all of you, if you take and pass the exam on December 30th of 2020, anything you did starting January 1st of 2020 will count. Even if you're testing after that, you've earned your credential in the year 2020, your accrual starts January 1st. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your recertification. So it would expire on that second year. You can't earn points, or then that third year, you can't earn points. That's when you actually complete the certification. And I know that's confusing, and we have people that call us on December 31st of 2019, and they say, I'm going to lapse, my certification expires. No, it doesn't expire. 2019, December 31st is the last day you could accrue your points. You could earn points. You can't even apply for recertification until January 1st of 2020. You won't have a button that says recertify. That time frame is just the amount of time you have to earn your recertification points activities. Again, the handbook has tons of information, pre-planning, once you pass, knowing what you need to do to get those points activities. Those who earn the CSSM credential can always retire that credential, and that applies to any of our other ones. So if you want to retire your credential, it's a one-time only fee of $125. You submit the application, you're done. You don't need points, you don't need CE. You just say, I'm going to go emeritus, I want to retire this credential, and that's it. You're done. You never have to pay again. And then you present your credential with the E in parentheses after it. This is your CCI staff. So Kelly Anderson is our credentialing specialist and volunteer coordinator. I'm the director of education, and then Jim Stabinski is our CEO. If you have questions, you can always call there, email, and we can answer those questions for you. So I know I went through that pretty quick, but I will look in the question box and see if there's any more questions. If anybody wants to raise their hand, I can also unmute them if they want to ask a question. Is anybody already signed up to take their CSSM exam? Raise your hand. Okay. Well, hopefully this helped you see what it's going to look like and what you need to do. If you have any questions, again, our contact information is here. Just give us a call, and you can ask for me or Kelly or Jim, and we'd be happy to answer those questions for you. So that is it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Thursday night to learn about CSSM. If you need anything, give us a call. Have a good rest of your day and weekend, and everybody stay safe. Thanks.